38-20, bonus point win, obviously. Colin, how you feeling?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's a bonus point win. That is one kind of step into the top eight, kind of
Well,
looked after.
you've got Benetton and you've got Scarlets kind of standing in your way. Benetton will be taking on, I believe, hold on, just don't let me. I know Scarlets are playing Lions. Who is Benetton playing? No, let's see what we got here. So we've got Benetton taking on Glasgow, the defending champions, tomorrow. And then we've got Lions and Scarlets on, I don't know if that's where that is at Ellis Park. So it is on the road. You could take those two wins. If those two teams win, you take the Lions, you take Glasgow. This would slot you guys in to that eighth spot. Obviously, you want a home playoff game, but I think that's all. After the Sharks win today, that's pretty much done. The four home games have been decided. So let's talk about the game. I came into it. I'd gone out to lunch with my wife and went and got some drinks and whatnot. I came into the game about the 30th minute. There was a pretty bad melee, I guess, if you want to call it that. And a certain gentleman got in the middle of it, and it kind of quelled it all out. Let's talk about Peter O'Mahony today.
Peter O'Mahony was fantastic. You know, he had a number of line-out steals. I think he had 2 line-out steals. He had, I think, 1 or 2 turnovers. He, as I said, he sorted out a kind of a melee and bitch slapped an Ulster player and scored a try.
Had an absolutely beautiful try that I was able to record. I sent you the clip of it. It was a chip kick from Crowley off to the right. Yeah. And you're expecting to see a winger or a center. You're not expecting to see a flanker. He jumps up with a guy that was probably 12 years younger than I hate to say that. Gets the ball and slams it down. And it was kind of just, and then a couple of minutes after that was when he came off for the game, and the crowd obviously giving him a standing ovation. And then right after him, another guy comes off, and a guy I wasn't too familiar with, 300 plus caps.
Stephen Archer, tight head.
That's a lifer. That's a
yeah.
You've poured your entire life into that club. But obviously, man of the match, you had called it. You said Tom Farrell will be back with the 2 tries, so rightfully so. Before I had jumped into the game, you said that the team was in trouble. What did I miss in that first 30 minutes where you were saying, hey, the team's in trouble, we're in trouble?
Their lineout was still quite dysfunctional, as in, while Peter O'Mahony was able to steal 2 balls, we were losing ball on our own throw, almost. If we had 3 of our own lineouts, we kind of lost 1.5 of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We lost half our pretty much, and I would say, early on that's enough to put the kind of the shiver up your spine. You know what I mean? You get the kind of the shakes with that one. But what would I say? I mean, Munster just kind of found a way. They even Tyke Byrne charges down, an attempted clearance and scores a try literally minutes after, a minute after Ulster scores a try, and then we somehow end up a couple of points up. Do you know what I mean? And then I think we end up 4 points up at halftime. And then it just Munster just kind of they just turned up the pressure. Ulster made a couple of stupid moves. They got a guy yellow carded early on in the second half, which was just dumb. Stuart McCluskey.
Yeah.
Dumb.
when I turned on the game, shortly after that was when they had that try off of a line out from 5 meters out. And you kind of saw that yellow card was definitely the momentum shift. I believe 2 tries were scored in that 10 minutes, and you kind of saw Ulster just was never able to really recover. They brought on Werner Koch late in the game. He's kind of known for being that like explosive wing. I mean, he did it for the Blitzboks for many years down in South Africa. But it looked like when Connor Murray came on, that was like kind of, you guys aren't scoring. Like, that's not happening. Yeah. They locked down defensively for the last 20 minutes of the game. I wanted to bring up the starting 9 with kind of the mullet hawk going. Is that Greg Casey? Craig Casey?
Yeah.
What a little honey badger out of the back of the rucks, man. Very, very, obviously different body size. Connor Murray is definitely a lot more of a taller 9. He doesn't have the typical build of a 9. Because your 9s are usually your short, kind of squatty, stocky guys. Casey definitely has more of that build, and you kind of saw out of the back of rucks, even before Connor Murray came on, he was really just trying to, I like, obviously you always prefer Connor Murray and Jack Crowley, but I don't think the combination of Casey and Crowley is a bad combination. They seem to work really, really well with each other. So,
I mean, for me, well, that's the combination that's going to be going forward. But I mean, I love Casey. I think Casey's, I think he's electric. I think he keeps the ball moving fast. He's in and out of a ruck really, really fast, and he's kind of sniping. He's always looking for a gap. You know what I mean? He kind of keeps him guessing quite well. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned Murray. Like it's important to mention. Murray was always going to come on for the last 20 minutes. Like I said it in my video yesterday. But like it's just Murray is like this safety blanket. You bring him on the field and he just calms everybody down. He's just like, no, we're just gonna. If you're in a winning position, he's the perfect guy to have. He just calms everything down. No, we're just going to play everything at our own pace, and we're gonna just not make mistakes, and everything's going to be good. And that's kind of what he does. He's just an excellent player, just so much experience, But he's the kind of guy where you're like you almost don't appreciate him until he's gone, and he's finished now. So Munster are always going to be. They're always going to be going, shit, I wish we had him to come on. So they're going to have to find another guy. Because Casey's going to be stepping up now, and they're going to have to find another guy to kind of
fill in the gap.
Maybe fill in the gap or bring something different. But, he's honestly, he's like, we talked about it before. He's kind of like a Sexton. He's one of these guys where you're just not going to replace him. I mean, the guys.
I mean, especially after the performance Peter O'Mahony put in today, you're not going to replace that.
No, you're not going to replace that.
He went out. No. Unfortunately, the way he went out with the Irish national team, probably not the way he wanted to go out. But if you're going to go out with your club team, this is the way you go out. This is the way you go out your last home game at that stadium. He went out and he looked. He was, I think my quote to you was he looked like he had been eating glass and, peeing razors and smiling the whole, like, it was just like, for him, it was like another day at the office, it's like, oh, just another standard day, get a couple of good hits in, obviously scoring a beautiful try the way he did in the second half. What a way to kind of cap off your last home game, or at least at Thomond Park.
He gets an assist for Farrell's first try as well. He cuts in from the right wing, gives an offload kind of pass for Farrell to score. So it's kind of like it really was. If you looked at it, it was pretty much like a man in a match. Like for me, I mean, if you recorded that melee, you will see at the very end there's a guy separating them, but Peter O'Mahony actually bitch slaps the Ulster player as well.
Well, I mean, he's a veteran. He knows. And I mean, they were, for the commentator that I got, they were mentioning when he came on the bench, because I mean, he put his head down. You could tell he was, I don't know if he cried
I'd say so. Yeah.
And the guy was talking about, like, basically he was like, yeah, I remember when that guy didn't have any gray hair. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's aged, and it's, you never like to see it. Like, look, I can remember a lot of guys' last games, and it's got to be especially somebody that's been around as long as Peter O'Many has, not just for Munster but for the national team as well. These are guys that they've been through a lot. They've been through multiple coaches. They've been through good times, bad times, and hopefully retirement. Hopefully, I mean, you've got a really good situation coming in next season with the arrival of Clayton McMillan. Hopefully he reaches out to these veteran players and has them involved somehow with the organization. If it's not in the coaching staff, it's just being around and kind of like being a steward and basically saying, like, hey, this is how things work here, that kind of thing. And I mean, a guy like Clayton McMillan would be, much like Rassie Erasmus, would be very receptive to these kind of things. It's not. He's not. He's a blue collar, middle of New Zealand guy. He's not a hothead. He's not an Auckland guy. He's a like I said, Hamilton and Munster. I've never been to Munster, but I've been to Hamilton a lot. And from the description and the things and the people I've talked to, very similar towns. Very, very, very blue collar, very working class. Very proud of their rugby. So I think hopefully he'll be involved somehow with that new coaching staff some way, somehow, some way.
You could see it. You could see it happening.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a leader. The weather is quite similar as well.
Yeah,
he's a leader.
Yeah, he's a leader. Peter O'Many is a leader. I wanted to go back to, I believe it was the 63rd minute. Jean Klein comes off. You bring in Ahern. Is it O'Hearn or Ahern?
Ahern.
Ahern comes in. The restart. He gets the ball. Gets lifted up. Gets the ball, which is pretty common for your tall boys. Gets it and just goes on a run, like big old long ass legs on a run. Does a chip kick, obviously lacking the speed to really chase it down on his own because he's a big guy. But it was like, you don't get to see that very often, and when you do, it's kind of like, whoa, did he just really shit like for like?
Yeah, he's a very skillful player.
Yeah.
Ahern, one of the interesting things about Ahern is he actually played fullback and wing kind of pretty much all throughout his kind of underage rugby. He was always like just a tall guy, but he never quite properly. He's kind of like a late developer. Like he didn't quite shoot up until kind of, I suppose, maybe a year or two later in these teams. Yeah. But he's 6'9" now. So
yeah. I'm looking at the stats here. It looks like, I mean, he had some U19, U20 caps. He's done the Emerging Ireland, probably just because if you look at the lock position for Ireland, I mean, obviously the captain of the team today and a guy that you were like, tell me he isn't the best. And that's, Tag Byrne, obviously. Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things. You've got like a World Cup winner in front of you and you've got Tag Byrne in front of you. It's like, you're not really going to get like the most minutes, but I mean, he's over 60 caps. So, not everybody. I mean, you had another gentleman today, like I said, the guy with 300 caps. It looked like he had a couple of caps for Ireland, not like a lot.
Not many. No.
And it was a long time ago. And I mean, you have that in rugby, and people look at Brock Harris, who's retiring with the Stormers. That guy's well into the 160, 170 caps. Never played for South Africa. Never represented South Africa. And you look at some of those guys and it's like, you wish that maybe they did get a bit of a better chance. But at the end of the day, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. Not everybody gets to play for their national team. But if you've played 300 caps for your club side, you've more than contributed to rugby in Munster.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like a lot of people, because, I suppose Munster, their scrum has been under pressure, and we've been really kind of short of front row kind of cover depth, I suppose is the word to use, for a couple of years now. But a lot of people have been kind of really giving the likes of Archer shit, and I kind of turned around and said, I think he's probably the fittest front row in world rugby. He's played like, if you look back at his minutes, he plays 60, 70 minutes almost every game. I think he played the whole game. Did he? No, he came off. He came off. Sorry, he came
Yeah,
off.
yeah. He came off shortly after Peter O'Many did.
Yeah, but
And I don't know who got a bigger
oftentimes,
standing ovation. I mean, they both got really big ones. And the funny thing was when he came off, he sits next to O'Many,
mm,
and O'Many just kind of gives him like a pat on the back. It's like, sit down, old man. It's kind of one of those kind of things, And
yeah,
the crowd,
Stephen Archer.
yeah, the crowd today was absolutely great at Thomond Park. Like, it was a very loud, it was a very involved crowd, and I'm sure the people in attendance, much like you, were really hoping for something good to happen today, and I mean, something good happened today. So,
Yeah, look, I mean, it was very emotional, but at the same time, it was it was much more than that. There was a lot on the line today. I mean, a lot on the line. I mean, imagine ringing up this new coach that you're after bringing in, and saying, oh, by the way, that budget we talked about in the meeting is cut in half, and we're not going to have as attractive a kind of a schedule for any new players that you want to bring in either. Like that's a big, that's what was literally what was on the line there tonight. So
yeah.
For them to kind of do it when they needed to was excellent. There's a lot to work on. There's an awful lot to work on. Honestly, their lineup was absolutely shocking. But I don't know how they won that game. I really, when you look at it, you're like, well, I mean, I know how they won the game. They were extremely effective. But one of the things that Munster do, a very it's a characteristic of very good sides, even top test level sides. They turn the ball over a lot. I mean, Tyke Byrne, we don't even talk, like, I just mentioned it to you. I was just casually mentioned it to you. It was like, because we just take it for granted now. But Tyke Byrne probably had 4 or 5 interceptions in that game, like turnovers in that game,
Yeah.
and each
Oh,
one, like,
he was a monster at the breakdown. Like, he was getting over
monster.
balls. He was slowing. You know what I mean? Like, that's. I get what you're saying. At the breakdown, he was absolutely just. I mean, like, I would have been, as an opposing player, been like, man, that bastard. You know what I mean? Just. But you need to be that guy. You need to be that guy at the breakdown. Sometimes you need to be that guy that gets in there and just fucks your shit up, basically. And he was definitely
like when Munster are really under pressure and they're taking phase after phase, and then all of a sudden he comes up with a turnover, and we've completely flipped the pressure on its head. Like, that's the momentum shift, and he seems to do it like 4, 5, 6 times every game. It's just
yeah.
wow. Like, that's massive. But anyway,
So obviously, with that, we have one last game. It's going to be at Musgrave Park. That is in. No. Okay. Thomond is in Cork. It's in Cork. Okay. Limerick is Thomond. Musgrave is Cork. It's obviously a much smaller stadium. I think it seats a third of what Thomond Park seats. I think, or maybe, yeah, it's like 8,000 something.
Something like that. Yeah.
Obviously, we have to see the results of the Bennett. If they do lose this weekend, Benetton will be in desperation mode come that final game, because it's going to be do or die for them as well. In the event, I don't want to look too far ahead. In the event that you do finish in 8th and you have to go up to the payroll specialists in Leinster.
Is that the way it works? It's top v bottom. Oh god, right.
So, but to be honest with you, it's one of those things that, like, anything can happen. We know what happens with Leinster in pressure situations. Mm-hmm. Everyone does. We've all seen it. And if you need a refresher, just go back to last week's Champions Cup game. Like,
we've all smelled it. Yeah.
It's they are beatable. They can be beaten. It's not. I mean, ask the Scarlets who beat them. Like, they can be beaten. They can be exposed. They can be, everything. But at the same time, it's like, let's just take it 1 week at a time. We'll see where the cards fall.
My only hesitation, and I know you're with me on this, a lot of people aren't, but my only kind of hesitation is next week we're playing on an artificial pitch and it's going to be a different dynamic.
And it's going to be a bouncy ass ball. Scrums are going to be more difficult. Like I look, here in the U.S. and Major League Rugby, it was a lot of artificial pitches. Rugby ATL, who no longer exists anymore, plays on an artificial pitch at Life University there in Atlanta, Georgia, and that field was known as the Knee Destroyer. The amount of guys who got their knees blown out playing on that pitch was ridiculous. I'm not a big fan of it. When the URC became a thing, that was one of my early complaints, was like, why are you playing? And then the argument that I got from the, at least the Scottish and the Irish guys were like, do you know how much it rains here? And I'm like, I mean, I assume a lot. And they're like, yeah, that's why we have artificial pitches, is because if we had real ones, they'd be bogged out all the time. But the funny thing is there are, Thomond Park is real grass. I believe where Connacht plays is real grass.
Maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's in a Greyhound track, okay? It's in a Greyhound track. But, I mean, you just, like, I get it. It is a cost-saving measure. But, like, for me, rugby has to be played on real grass. That's not, it's kind of like FIFA and the World Cup. That was kind of the thing about the World Cup coming to the U.S. in 1994, was so many of the stadiums were artificial grass. They had to put real grass in the stadiums. I feel like the World Rugby should have the same standard. If you're going to play, because it's not a game that's meant for artificial surfaces. There's too much involved.
Yeah.
Scrumming.
I think the problem is you have to lay down the artificial surface on a hard surface below, and I know they put down intermediate layers to try and cushion the blow, but listen, I've seen guys getting really badly hurt just from kind of landing on the ground in an awkward way. That it just doesn't happen on real grass,
Look, I'll give it the benefit. Okay, we called it AstroTurf when it first came out. It was basically like green carpet. When we were kids, that stuff, dude, it was just like a little bit of like felt and then concrete, and now it's like, I mean, I've been on some pitches here. Like, I've been to where the Dallas Jackals used to play. I've been on a couple of really good ones for high school football here, and I mean, it's not the same stuff that we played on as kids, but in the same respects, it's not real grass. When you get it wet, it's going to be very, very slick. And, this is a game that, I can't count the amount of games where it was bad weather and there were no tries scored. Everything came down to kicks.
But my concern specifically is about Benetton, and I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think Benetton plays on an artificial pitch every week. So that's my concern. It's my only concern.
I'm actually going to look that up, because I know
that could be interesting. Yeah,
I'm going to look up their stadium real quick. Give me just a moment here. They play at Stadio Comunale de Munico. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to see if this is a real grass pitch or not.
I could be wrong. Maybe
no, that's real grass. It's real grass. It's real grass.
Okay, that's good.
That's real grass. Or it's really, really good looking fake. But no. Let me see if we got a close up. No, that's real grass. So,
okay.
If it comes down to a kicking thing, I mean, Jack Crowley looked amazing today off the tee. He looked really good. I gotta look up, because I don't even know who they're. Because I know the thing you got to worry about with Benetton is their fullback. He's a South African born guy. He's
Really?
yeah. Their fullback is a guy named Rhino Smith. They've got the former Argentine international Thomas Albornoz at fly half, and then Leonardo Jacob Umaga, Tana Umanga's I think nephew. Yeah, because that's Mike's kid. Of course, they have Malachi Fekitoa there. They've got some big names. They got Menicello. They've got big names there. It's not a Sebastian Negri, the Zimbabwean-born Italian international. A big one for me. I haven't really seen him get much playing time. I know he's like 40 years old, but Augustine Creevy, the former Puma, is one of their hookers. I mean, they've got some big names on. I mean, there's a lot of international caps on this team, and not just for Italy. There's quite a few Argentines. There's a couple of Tongans on the team. Obviously, you have one that's Tongan and all black with Malachi Fekitoa. So it's not going to be a team to be taken lightly, obviously.
I certainly wouldn't be taking him lightly, not a chance. But even at home, I'd be kind of thinking, like, I mean, just as we, just to sum up, the hard surface equals a fast surface, so the game is going to move faster. It just is going to move faster. So if the game breaks open, I'd be looking at guys like Takir Abrams to make bits of them, the likes of Kilgallen or two wingers to get them involved. But Jesus Christ, like our lineout needs to be a little bit better than it was today. Oh my God!
Yeah, definitely.
I felt bad for Crowley at times because his line kicking was actually on point. He just
the standings just updated, Colin.
Okay.
Do you know where Munster sits in the standings now?
It should be 8th, is it?
No.
Where?
You're 5th.
How the fuck did that happen?
Because you got a win and a bonus point. Now, granted, only 4 teams have played this weekend so far. The Sharks got a win, Munster, and then obviously Ospreys took the loss, and Ulster took a loss in that one. Ulster has fallen to 12th. Something I just noticed is looking at the standings here that's quite interesting. So obviously, if Benetton loses and Scarlets lose, you clinch, you secure basically, just based on point differential. But interesting statistic here. I'm looking at the standings right now, and it's the point differential. Okay, this is how many points you've given up versus how many you've conceded. And if you look in the top, what is now 9 teams, Benetton sitting at 9th. Obviously, Leinster 207 points over. Glasgow 175, Bulls 117. The Sharks are only 25. Munster is only 6. Okay. And out of the teams in the top 10, you have one team that is negative 102. Jesus. And that's Benetton. They concede a lot of points. And you go in there and put in a performance like you did today, put 35, 40, I think you get the win. I
mean, it's in Munster's hands now. They just have to win next week, and that's kind of it. That's kind of it. And then we worry about whatever else after that. It's not easy.
If the playoffs were to start today, yes, you will not have a home game, but I think you might want to see something. Where would you rather go, Durban or Pretoria?
I think that wouldn't bother me one bit.
I mean, like we knew the whole adage with the Bulls being altitude RFC. The Sharks have been downright shameful at times this season. So it's like I said, we still have 2 more games. Everybody else got to play their games this weekend to see how things shift up. But if it was to start today, Leinster would take on Scarlets in the first round. Glasgow would take on the Stormers. They would welcome the Stormers. The Bulls would welcome Cardiff, and the Sharks would welcome Munster. So I have my personal teams I don't want to play in the first round. Just because of allegiances. I really don't want to play the Bulls in the first round because of allegiances. I am a Bulls fan, so...
That's okay.
But the big worry was relegation to the Challenge Cup, and I think we're safe. I think we're safe. I think we're safe.
I think we're kind of, yeah. I mean,
we'll have Clayton McMillan coming in next year, and I think more than capable hands. And yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes next week. Unfortunately, it looks like next week we will be playing. No, it's a Saturday. Is it a Saturday game? It's a Friday game. Next Friday, 2 p.m. my time. So it'll be another Friday evening one. So we'll definitely do a post game after that, being that it's Friday afternoon game for me. So obviously, any last thoughts on the win? Anything like, hey, I didn't like this about it, I didn't like that, other than obviously the set piece issues that you were saying that were happening in the first half of it.
I suppose like for me, it's just I'm still thinking about the guys that are leaving, and there's one other one that wasn't really like the cameraman actually picked it up, but nobody really mentioned it. Was the guy who operates the touchline kind of substitutions.
Mm-hmm.
He's the team manager. Niall O'Donovan is his name, and he's been part of the Munster coaching ticket since the late 90s.
Oh wow!
Yeah, like a long time. He's been like a stalwart. I think he had like 1 or 2 years off where he actually coached the Ireland A team or something like that.
Okay.
But originally he was the Munster forwards coach way back in the day, when back in the really successful days. But yeah, so he finishes up after a ridiculously long career as well. And yeah, I mean, it's a good night. It's a good night. It is a good night. Thank God.
Yeah, I know you were kind of on, and like I said, I had picked Munster to get the win over Ulster. I even had people in the comment section kind of saying, "Oh, they're gonna," and I'm like, "No, I just knew being at home." A lot of people don't realize that really is your 16th man. If you have a good crowd behind you, that can be your 16th man. And
Yes, statistically, if you look at sports in general, the home team more than often, if all things are kind of even, the home team usually comes out over a long period of time. So yeah.
Well, since the game is at Musgrave Park and they don't get a lot of them, I'm pretty sure the crowd's going to be capacity. It's going to be a good audience, good crowd, and hopefully they can cheer them out and they can close out the regular season on a high note. Would you make any changes to the lineup for next week?
I mean, it depends. Like, it looked like Peter O'Mahony had a small bit of a knock when he came off the field, but you'll have to kind of check that out with him. I'm sure, like, considering he's a Cork man, I imagine he'd be looking to start next week.
I mean,
but
he seems like the kind of guy that could, the doctor would prescribe him, 3 beers and he'd be okay.
3 beers and he'd be okay. Yeah. But I mean, like, yeah, I mean, one of the substitutions I didn't really anticipate was Tom Ahern came on for John Klein. I thought Tom Ahern would come on for Peter O'Mahony, but Peter O'Mahony stayed on a bit longer and John Klein went off first. So, I mean, considering Tom Ahern's very mobile, we saw that. You never know, he could start and they could give Peter O'Mahony a swan song from the bench. You know what I mean? It could be
have him come on and finish out the game.
It could be that kind of a thing. You never know, depending on how he feels. But other than that, I actually think it's going to be pretty similar lineup. I mean, I hope so. I mean, I think most of the guys did pretty well. I mean, we played okay. We didn't quite get our wingers into the game or Abrahams into the game as much as we would like, but
it was a forward heavy clash. The forwards really carried Munster today, and that's what you need them to do sometimes. You can't just always depend on your backs. I mean, like I said, it didn't hurt having Casey and Crowley just dialed in the back of rucks today. So they were really feeding off each other. Like I said, that Crowley cross kick, like I said, you did not expect to see Peter O'Mahony being over there getting ready to receive the day. You know what I mean? Like, it's not what it would be the same as like a cross kick from like Andre Pollard and it's Bongi Manombi over in the corner. You know what I mean? It's not the guy you expect to be in the trench like that. But
acquired
being
fit or something like that.
it's not the first time. It's not the first time he'd been down there, and I'm pretty sure like he'd been in that situation many times before. Like I said, another day at the office for the veteran there. So I'm sure.
It was good day at the office really overall. Thank God. We need
Um,
more days like this.
because I have the US feed here, sometimes the camera will they'll just set the camera in a stationary position until the feed dies, basically.
Mm.
Um, Peter O'Many was, like swamped. Photos, autographs, yeah. Like everybody, somebody had brought a flag that had him. It was half him as Munster and half him as Ireland, and like they were in the crowd. They jumped out on the field, and yeah, you could just tell like he's a man of the people. He's a that's those are the rugby players we grew up with, and I hope that never dies. I hope that never dies.
He's a real like he's similar to like Eben Etzebeth, someone like that. He's one of those kind of guys who's just you want him on your team. He's nasty in all the good ways, that you can possibly be. That's what he is. Just pure hard work, nastiness, and
you can tell he still knows his own lawn.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
he still goes to the market and grocery shop. You can tell like he's that guy. Like he's that guy that he probably gets home and wants to just veg out in front of the TV. Like he's just that kind of guy, But it's a great game, good win for the boys. I wore the jersey out here in Denton, Texas today, so no comments. I didn't. Sometimes I get comments on the jersey, sometimes I don't, but I didn't on this particular day. So, but
it's a good look.
Yeah, I'll wear it next Friday too. So, but yeah, we'll be back obviously next week to talk about the game next week.
Sweet.
Thank you for jumping on with me, Colin, late in the evening on a Friday night. I know you usually no, you're not a mover and shaker. You don't go to the club on Friday night. You're a grown ass man.
No, I'm too old for that shit. Too old for that shit.
But for the see, Colin had a very sweet setup to watch the game. Was that on your stoop? We'd say porch here, but was that like on your stoop, or was that like just a spare room in the apartment?
It's so it's like it's kind of a shared room.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is only like temporary apartment, but don't worry, I'll introduce everybody to my new studio when I finally move in there.
When you get moved in, but yeah, it didn't look like a bad setup. You had the doggo out there with you, and I'm sure it's. I don't know about does your partner ever come and watch with you, or does she kind of do her own thing while you're doing the rugby thing?
She actually set up the old Amazon Fire Stick for me to help me watch.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, so she's a bit of a whiz.
So my doggo will usually sit with me, and she's been, she's been. I don't know what it is, but she actually watches the television. I tend to think it's because it's a big grass field, and she wants to go run, and she sees people running. But my dog, since we brought her home, she will sit and watch rugby with me. Like she will look at the TV. Like I think it also. During the World Cup final, I had said, if the Springboks win, she gets a piece of cheese. So I think she just hopes for cheese every time. Dad's watching rugby. I'm going to get a piece of cheese. So
it's a good association.
Yeah. So, but we'll be back next week. Thank you guys for joining us on this post game chat with my man Colin. Thank you, Colin.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. See you guys next time.
Yes, sir. Cheers.